Hey there, you're watching Dirt Bike Channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host Kyle Brotherson, and today we're going to be talking about some of the parts that you should probably be putting on your bike for protection when you get it if you're going to do off-road enduro riding. Stick around. So as you can see, I've got a 2020 bike right here and I'm trying to build it up and get it ready to go. Now this bike has a bunch of parts on it already that I put on, and it's just protective parts, and I need to do the same thing for the 250 version of this that is just out of the frame. So let's talk about some of these protective parts that we're putting on it. So while these bikes come really well equipped from the factory, it doesn't matter whether it's a Beta, KTM, Sherco, Honda, Yamaha, they're very good bikes and they're bulletproof for most things. But there are a few protective parts that you don't get with them stock that I basically can't live without anymore. And I've got some other parts that are like maybes, but I'll tell you the parts that I really can't live without anymore, and then we can talk about some of the other ones. First and foremost, the thing that you will need is a skid plate for your bike. So this is an AXP Racing Extreme skid plate. I've been putting these on all my bikes. These are fantastic skid plates right here. I really like this one because it covers the linkage down here, as you can see. So these are really great skid plates. Yes, they're plastic, and yes, I prefer them to be plastic over the metal ones. They're just quieter, lighter, and I think they protect just as well. So that's a must-have, is a skid plate. I don't ride the bikes without a skid plate. Another thing that I don't ride the bikes without anymore is a rear disc guard. Every once in a while, I think I get cute and I think I can ride the bike without a rear disc guard. This one happens to be a Bulletproof Designs disc guard. They don't make them any better than this. This is a newer design that they have where they've got an attachment here that can go over your brake caliper. So I'm testing it on this bike. I don't know yet if I love it, but I am testing it on this bike. But these rear disc guards are amazing, and it's pretty much a mandatory thing because as you get through the rocky stuff, it's so easy to hit that rear disc. I just hit the rear disc on the Beta that I was using because the Beta has a bigger rear brake disc, and so it's really easy to hit that. Another thing that I'm starting to not be able to ride without are these swing arm guide, the tab guards or the chain guide guard right here. This is a Bulletproof Designs one. Very fantastic guard right here. Thanks to those guys for hooking me up with this because I'm putting this on both of these bikes. Essentially what I've got is I've got this bike. This is the 2020, what is this one? The 300XC TPI, and right out of the frame I have the 250 version of this bike. Next thing are the fork shoes. Now this is something that I've just started to run recently because we've been going through some nasty rocky stuff, and I've been beating up the bottom of my forks. So these are just made by Acerbis. These are pretty cheap. They're like 21 bucks for most bikes, and you can get these things and you can install them on the bottom of your forks. They are shoes essentially for the forks, and it just keeps you from rounding off the bottom of the fork and rounding off the axle nut and things like that. So it's something that I've recently started to run just for protection. I'm not running it for bling, it's just to protect it. Next thing, I'm going to talk about these Cycra bar ends. So you can see right up here, they're called the Grip Armor bar ends. I've been running these because that way when I dump the bike over, I don't tear up my my grips as much. So I've been liking those, but alternatively, and a lot of guys would say, hey, just run a full wrap handguard. So, and a lot of guys do this. It's, you know, some guys like them, some guys don't. These by Cycra, this is the Pro Bend CRM full wrap handguards. These are really fantastic, and that would save your levers and save your bars. I don't have to run these because I actually put Teflon tape under my levers. So, and then I put them on. I move my levers in, and then I have them so they can actually rotate. And we're doing some pretty hard enduro stuff a lot of times, and I'm not breaking levers because they can rotate around. And I prefer that rather than being locked in here with my hand behind the handguard. But that is a fantastic protection item that you might want to look into for your bike. Full wrap handguards if you want to do those. Another one, some sort of a front disc guard. So I'm not running this on all of my bikes, but this is a Bulletproof Designs disc guard for an older bike that I had laying around. I don't like this one as much because it's kind of heavy. This is the full metal one. I kind of prefer the plastic ones. It's like a little bit of a, you know, a compromise between the two, weight and having just a little bit of protection. So I don't run that on all my bikes, but that is something that you might want to think about. Radiator guards. In the recent, these are fantastic. You can put your radiator guards on here. In recent years on the KTMs, they've redesigned the radiator, so I haven't felt like it was as needed, but there are some guys out there that will not ride a bike without the radiator guards. Problem is the radiator guards are quite expensive. In fact, a lot of times the radiator guards are more expensive than your radiator, so just be careful on that one. A lot of guys will put a pipe guard on. I'm not a big proponent of the pipe guards, but I don't have super strong feelings either way. You put a pipe guard on, and in some cases it can almost double the cost of the pipe, and then that energy has to go somewhere. And sometimes that energy is transferred over here to the gooseneck of the pipe, and it kinks it there instead of just putting a dent in the expansion chamber, which I think is a little bit worse of a deal. And then it can also transfer that energy into the exhaust flange on your motor. I'd rather bend the pipe or ding the pipe than, you know, hurt the exhaust flange on the motor, or even break off motor mounts on the frame, or, you know, the pipe mounts on the frame. Another thing that I've done on a couple of my recent bikes is putting a new clutch cover on. So there's a company called Carbon Up Armor. They're located here in Utah, and there's other guys that do it. You can get some of Cheruby's guards to cover up both sides of your engine case that are really good. Cycler makes some, maybe a Cheruby's, but there's a few people. Those Carbon Up Armor ones though are fantastic. Hopefully I'll roll in a shot right now of those, and that way you don't punch through those if you hit a rock kind of over there. Because I've been on a couple of rides where people did punch a hole in their clutch cover, and then all the oil leaked out. That's a major problem if you're on a 4-stroke. It isn't as critical if you're on a 2-stroke. But those are some of the things that I do as far as protection goes, and that's pretty much. I don't put a lot of aftermarket parts on my bikes. It's really only protection. And that's kind of where it is. Do a skid plate, do a rear disc guard. If you're really getting through some rocky stuff, do a swing arm tab guard here if you're running a KTM, because these are easy to kind of wipe off. There's a few different companies that make those. And then, yeah, it's just protecting your grips and your levers. You can either do that by, you know, adjusting them correctly or properly, or you can run full wrap hand guards. That'll protect your levers too. So I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to cover in this video. If you like the content, please remember to use the links down in the description. This is how I'm supporting my family now. You've got links to Rocky Mountain ATV, Motorsport, and Amazon. You can find them all on my website as well, those links, the parts links. You can support me on Patreon. My family would be forever grateful for that. And then this bike is probably a bike that I will be giving away later this year. It's the 2020 300XC TPI. And I'll give this bike away for the cost of a t-shirt. You know, every $5 you spend during those promotional periods gets you entered to win a bike. And this bike will be going, most likely. And the 250, I have the 2019 250XC with really low hours that'll probably be going as well. So 2 bikes, there's gonna be 2 people who are gonna win bikes for Christmas. So that's pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, keep the rubber side down, and we'll see you in the next video.